Hi, this is Razor Wire, and this is the Twin Flame reading. And today I'm using the Light Seer's Tarot and two custom decks. I've already dealt the cards since I'm not doing a visual video. I thought it would save time. And we'll start with the Divine Feminine. And for the Divine Feminine, we have the Lover's card, okay? And the Lover's card is about choices. It's about soul connections. It's about that feeling, that pull towards a person or a project or a way of life. You know, it's something that you feel like you can't live without, something that compels you, you know, something that inspires you, that wakes you up. You know, so it's kind of like that soul calling that you have for your twin, that knowing, that recognition that they are important. And in a way, you know, there is no choice. Even though it is supposed to represent a choice, you know in your heart that there really is no choice, that it's already been made, that your heart has already decided on this person. And then we've got the Seven of Wands, and the Seven of Wands is all about standing strong. It's about, you know, inner strength. You know, in the image on this, it has a woman in a meditative pose. You know, her hands are in prayer position or namaste, and her her solar plexus chakra is shining brightly. You know, so she's finding her strength within. She's not looking or seeking for external validation. She knows who she is. She knows what she wants, and she's committed to that path. You know, she's putting in the work. So good job, feminine, for standing strong. And then we have the Fool and the Tower. And the Fool and the Tower is about wounded pride. And sometimes in this journey, our pride gets hurt, you know, because, and that happens basically when we have attachments to a particular outcome. When we reach out to our twin and they don't respond, or they do respond and they respond, you know, in a way that we don't want, you know, maybe negatively. Maybe they just kind of brush off something. You've spent like maybe 30 minutes composing this beautiful email about your feelings, and they just give you some kind of glib reply. Hey, that's nice, you know, and, you know, it hurts. You know, anytime you attach, you know, a particular outcome, it can hurt when that doesn't happen. You know, the ego doesn't like to be wrong. If the ego likes being right so much that even if in being right, it will hurt you worse, it would rather be right than wrong. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, that's why sometimes, you know, we believe in the worst possible outcome, right? We say to ourselves, it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. Because then if it doesn't work out, then we know we haven't done something wrong. You know, like we weren't wrong, we were right, that it wouldn't work out, that it was impossible. Do you know what I mean? So like the ego is, it just wants to be right all the time. It doesn't care if that's the healthy view. It doesn't care if that view makes you happy. It doesn't care about anything but proving itself right. And then we've got the Lovers in the Hermit, which is magic. And we all know that there's magic around this journey. The signs that we see, the synchronicities, the dreams that we share with our twin, which are more like visitations, right? They're like so intensely real and so intensely lucid that they can't be dreams. You know, they're mind-blowing, because this dream is all about like waking you up. Did I say this dream? this journey, it wakes you up, right? It basically exposes the ego to the impossible. You know, so the ego is like, it can't make sense of it anymore, and after a while, it can't argue because it's seen too much to argue. Do you know what I mean? That's why everything is so repetitious when you see the signs. Because if you just saw 717 like a couple of times, you know, you're gonna not, your mind is gonna say, that's a coincidence, that doesn't mean anything. But if you see it 2,000 times in one day, or just in very strange ways all the time, after a while, your ego, it can't justify it anymore. It's just like, okay, I see this, you know, I'm listening. And it takes a while. That's why we have to keep being bombarded. And then we've got the Ace of Cups and the King of Cups, and that's deep love, okay? And you feel that. This is a very deep love. This is a soul connection. And then we've got some messages. These are messages from the Divine Feminine to the Divine Masculine. Say something that only I will understand, something that connects us without as within. Okay, so you're looking for confirmation here. You are asking your twin to communicate with you and to say to you, this is real. I'm feeling it too. You know, and it doesn't even have to be something that other people would recognize or acknowledge, but just a special message between the two of you. You know, something that only you would be able to realize was from your twin, but you just kind of, you really need that, or you want that confirmation to know that that connection is still there. Not long ago, you were in my bed, in my dreams, our faces close together. I listened with my whole being. I listened so hard, I surrendered all that I would say and the chance to say it just to know you more completely. Okay, so this is about being fully present with another person. You know, this is putting aside your ego and being vulnerable and being in the moment and feeling your feelings fully and completely. A lot of times, you know, in our relationships, we're kind of waiting for our turn to speak. We're used to relationships where you have to prove that you deserve love, that you have to perform favors in order to earn points, in order to earn time with the person, all of these things, you know, and we're used to dating where we have to, you know, play certain games or employ certain tactics of seduction and stuff in order to win a partner. Like, that's what we're used to. And so it's like a game of chess almost all the time when you're in a trying to date. And but with your twin, it's completely different because none of that works, right? You can't, you know, seduction doesn't work on your twin, manipulation doesn't work on your twin, nothing except being real and being in the moment with them works. You know, so it forces you to kind of be yourself and be there in that moment with no attachment. And then we've got, you are literally pulling the soul out of my body. If we stay apart, we are going to shake apart. Tug harder, pop the stitches that hold me together and eat them one by one. Okay, so you're acknowledging here that the journey is really, it's really difficult. It hurts. It's overwhelming. But despite all of that, you are committed to this journey and you are willing to be open and vulnerable with this other person. You're willing to let them in, to let them see your scars and your imperfections. You know, so this is about surrender. And then we've got, I want to make you feel the way I feel every time I think of you. I want you to feel everything all at once, the human heart beyond capacity, the soul hunger that supersedes all thoughts. Okay, so you want to share your feelings with your twin. You want them to understand how much you love them, you know, because sometimes we don't know, right? We know how we feel, but we don't know how they feel because we're looking at the 3D, right? You're looking at the 3D, and in the 3D, they're not talking to you, or they're not saying, you know, anything committal or about the twin flame journey. And, you know, there's nothing happening on the 3D that can confirm to you that what you're feeling is understood, acknowledged, and shared. You know, so this is a reminder to look at the 5D, how you feel inside, because if you feel it, then you know that they feel it because you're mirrors of each other. So if you feel that love coming, you know, in your heart, like from your heart, then you know that they are feeling it too, because you're the same, you're one. So if you're feeling fear and doubt and all of these things, you know they also feel it. All right, so for the Divine Masculine, we have the Ace of Cups. I don't know why I called it Ace of Hearts. The Ace of Cups. And this card is about the love, right? The divine love, the divine connection, about telepathy. You know, so they're thinking about this connection right now. They understand, they recognize that it's something special. you know, and the woman is holding this cup of water, you know, between her palms, you know, delicately supporting it. So your masculine wants to support you, to be strong enough to support this love. And then we have the Queen of Swords, okay? And in this picture, she's sitting down. She's got her sword ready at her side, and she's kind of looking out at maybe at a seascape, thinking. Okay, so your masculine is kind of going within. He's reflecting on the journey, on all the experiences he's had. He may be a bit guarded right now, a bit quiet right now as he goes within and tries to make sense of everything. You know, he's looking for his words. How can he express this? You know, he's so used to operating from his ego, from his, you know, headspace, and he's not gonna, or he or she is probably not as used to operating from their heart space. Okay. So it's natural that they would try to make logical sense of things, that they would try to come up with practical solutions and practical answers. But as you know, that doesn't work, right? Because you can't put conditions on an unconditional love. You can't, you know, explain any of this in a rational, logical, ego-based way. But they're trying to make sense of things. They're trying to figure out how they can support you, how they can be the person that they feel that you need them to be. And then we've got the Judgment and the Hermit, which is low energy. So that's saying they're feeling a bit low, a bit defeated, a bit guarded right now. And then we've got the Fool and the Death, which is instant karma. So they're realizing that their actions have consequences. And because of that, that may be why they're reluctant to act. You know, in the past, they may have said or done something that really hurt you. And so they are realizing that they have that power to hurt you. And that is causing them to hesitate, you know, because they know, because they're still in the ego somewhat. So they're scared that if they do something to hurt you, say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, that they might lose you. Strength in the High Priestess, hold your tongue. Okay, so they're afraid of speaking their truth because they're afraid, you know, that you won't understand, or that they won't be able to express it, you know, from the heart, you know, because their head keeps getting in the way and confusing things. And then we've got the Fool and the Emperor, which is sheltering. So they're trying to protect you because they don't, it seems like they don't feel quite ready yet, like they haven't quite worked it out. And so they're trying to protect you by the silence. And sometimes, as I've mentioned, that the universe will intervene. So even if your twin thought, I'm going to come forward, I'm going to talk to her, you know, if your twin, he or she wasn't ready, then the universe might intervene, right? He or she might lose their internet connection, or their email might get lost, or a friend might call them at that exact moment and kind of distract them. So something will come in, you know, that sort of makes it, like, blocks it for a bit if it's not time yet. Whereas on the other hand, when it is time, it will happen, even if it seems impossible. And then we've got Lovers and Hanged Man, suffering for love. Okay, so it seems like they're sort of suffering in silence right now with this love. They're kind of keeping it locked up inside, and they're in pain, like it hurts. Do you know what I mean? They want it so bad, but they don't know how to get it. And we've got Emperor and Hanged Man. It's out of your hands. So they feel like it's not within their control. Like they feel powerless right now. You know, they're feeling like, how can I, with all these restrictions, you know, am I good enough? You know, am I what she really wants? You know, they're going through all of these kind of doubts, and they don't feel like they have control, and they're trying to, just like you're trying, like the feminine sometimes like puts attachments and tries to define it. The masculine, you know, tries to do the journey. They try to, like, you know what I mean? Like they try to control it and steer it and be like active, and, you know, and they try to solve it like a puzzle, you know, but that doesn't work either. Then we have the Strength in the Fool, which is good luck. Okay, so luck is on your side, on both of your sides. The universe is supporting you. You know, it might not be the time to act right now, and it might be lucky that they can't reach out right now. It might not feel like that, but it might be a stroke of luck because it's protecting you. Chariot and Hanged Man. settling down. Okay, so they're thinking about settling down. They're thinking about the future. And because they want this clear future of settling down, they know that they have to be in a good place for that. Emotionally, in their 3D world, they have to be, ready for that kind of commitment, because it is a commitment that they're making to you. And they want to make sure that they're ready. And what they want to say to you, feminine, is, I'm composed of two people, me and you. I sometimes forget that our lives are still separate, because in my heart, we are already living as one. Okay, so they're feeling you. They're feeling the connection. And this makes me think of, sometimes when you have a loved one and they die, and you drive past their house, and you think to yourself, I'm just going to stop by and visit them. And then you remember that they've passed. And this can also happen on the twin flame journey, that you feel so close and so connected that you find yourself just writing to them, or without realizing it, or telling them about your day, and going into like personal details, even though your relationship might not have reached that sort of level yet. So you can forget sometimes, because you have this love between you and this history. Then we have, I want you to be here, to be mine, to speak my thoughts out loud so I can't hide from them anymore. Okay, so they want you with them. They want you to be together. And they also want you to help them to find words for these feelings, they want you to help them make sense of it all, because it's so overwhelming and so confusing. And they don't want to hide from this connection anymore. They don't want to hide their feelings anymore, because they're suffering by keeping it within. But they're still breaking down those walls. They're still breaking down those patterns, and those like paradigms, those gender stereotypes. They're still working through all of that. So they're still holding themselves back the way that they've been taught, but that's not what they want. And then we have, if I have the power to hurt you, does it mean I don't deserve you? Okay, so here they're worried about hurting you, and that's why the sheltering, that's why the holding their tongue, because they're scared. They don't want to hurt you. They don't want to ruin things. Maybe they've really done some damage in the past by speaking, and they're worried about it. And so for the journey, we've got the World's card. And what I'm feeling here with the World's card is that this journey is protected. Okay, so it's protected by the universe. And so I'm seeing this more like Mother Earth, because like how in some of the depictions of the world, they have a pregnant woman. And so you think Mother Earth. So I'm thinking that the universe is like got your back, and that it's saying that everything will work out. You just have to trust the cycles. You just have to be kind and patient and compassionate with yourself, and understand that if things are quiet right now, that's where they need to be, like to trust in the timing and stuff, and how everything is fitting together in the bigger picture. Because, the world is also about perspective, right? So it's like the higher perspective. Like, it's not just like a romantic love. Like, this love is like a spiritual love. You have a spiritual mission, so there's a lot more to this than just the two of you, so you have to trust in that. You have to trust in the whole process. And then we've got the Four of Wands, and it's saying if you trust in that process, then you will have cause to rejoice. If you take the time and you build the foundations, then you will have that happily ever after. Then you will have that coming together, that marriage, that union. And then we've got Lovers and High Priestess, which is ignoring obvious red flags. Okay, and this can happen sometimes when we want to force things along. We will say stuff like, I've already done the work. I'm already healed. I'm ready. But meanwhile, we're still being triggered. We're still taking things personally. And if you are still being triggered, if you are still taking things personally, if you still have if you're still attached to a particular outcome, and you're still trying to kind of force and control and manipulate everything to happen that way, then you're not ready. Then you haven't done all of the healing. And that's a red flag right there if you're being triggered. So don't ignore that. Whenever that happens, you'll be like, what do I need to learn from this? Do you know what I mean? Like, why am I being triggered? What is this teaching me? And then we've got the Hermit and Judgment, and that's mania. Okay, so there's mania is like impatience, and like your emotions are kind of bubbling over, and you have like all of this energy, usually a very kind of nervous, excited energy. So you're wanting things to happen, you're wanting it to be now. And because you want it to be now, you can sometimes ignore red flags. And then we've got rhythm. So that's about trusting your cycles, your rhythms. I have to go soon, so I have to be careful or be quick. Your voice is so quiet, it hurts. Okay, so the silence hurts you. You want to communicate to each other. And sometimes you can feel disconnected from each other or a bit numb, and that's really scary. And then I have all the confirmation I need. It's in the way you hold my thoughts hostage. It's in the way loving you makes me feel. Loving you has changed my life, and I'm better for having known you. Okay, so this is your higher selves. It's saying that you already have the confirmation. It's how you feel about each other. It's how they've changed your life. It's how much you've learned and grown on this journey. And that's really all you need to know is, do you love this person? Yes or no? And then you are a memory that hasn't taken place, a promise, a gift, a mirror perfectly imperfect. Each day I find myself knowing you, missing you. It's as if you are not a stranger at all. Okay, so this is you recognizing that you are connected, that you mirror each other, that you belong together. And that's why you're missing each other, because you know that this person is a part of you. And that sense of being apart is unbearable. Like in spiritual truth, you're like never apart, right? You're always connected. But like the ego can say, bring up a lot of separation, fear, and pain. Well, that's been a twin flame reading, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm sorry for rushing at the end, but thank you so much. Please like, comment, and subscribe.